On this week's GTA 6 o'clock, 6 GTA 6 predictions. Some of them are probably quite likely.
And you might get a strike.
The expected release date and evolving world.
Yeah, every week you ruin a bit more of this game for me.
And the special editions. I've always said something fun like an inflatable crocodile. It's all here on this week's GTA 6 o'clock. Yes, hello and welcome to episode 44 of GTA 6 o'clock. Can you believe, Dan, we are rolling up to our first birthday already. And despite still only having that one trailer, we have been here every week bringing you the best GTA 6 and Rockstar analysis on the net. I am your host, James J.J. Jarvis, and joining me, as you have just heard, to put some meat on the horse this week is Dan D.D. Dawkins. Welcome, Dan.
Hello.
Excited about our first birthday well, it's a few months away, but we're getting there.
It's a mere 7 or 8 weeks away, depending on when you class the birthday. So, yeah, very exciting indeed.
By the time we have our birthday, maybe there might be something else content-wise to dig into, but we'll get onto that and we'll see if that all comes to fruition soon. Now, as predicted last week by us on the podcast, we still don't have any new info, despite the discussion we had about there being a number 4 on the number plate of the pizza delivery event that happened in GTA Online back in July. What a surprise.
Yeah, for those who missed last week's episode, there was a big online hoopla about a pizza delivery mission that was added to GTA Online and the number plate that said PIZ4 and the words Oct were elsewhere on the number plate. Some genius had said that means October the 4th, trailer 2 will be revealed. Friends, it was not revealed.
No, it is now October the 8th and there's still not been any reveals. But speaking of online hoopla, we should discuss a social post that's been going around this week, which had supposed GTA 6 details in it, which then had a copyright notice applied to it, again, supposedly by Take-Two, which was just like a bullet-pointed list of things. There were things like Lucia is the central story character. There'll be separate Jason and Lucia intro missions. The story is shorter than Red Dead Redemption 2. There's massive side content, lots of countryside and towns. The list goes on. It's quite extensive. I think it's worth noting from us on GTA 6 o'clock that none of this is confirmed, even though, I don't think we can read too much into that copyright strike one way or the other, even if it has been applied by Take-Two like it supposedly has been. And if you've been listening to the show for a few weeks, I think there's some things in there that we've even speculated and talked about on this show. I don't know if there's anything in the list, Dan, that jumps out to you as, oh yeah, we've talked about that. But I think a lot of these things it doesn't take too much of a leap to get there.
Yeah. The thing I haven't done is dug into like the provenance of the leaker and or the copyright strike, which is probably the most interesting bit. Everything listed here is deeply plausible, but I think as we'll go on to root through, equally anyone with half a brain cell could postulate some of these things.
And that's what I was getting at in a roundabout way.
Yeah, and they do overlap with all of the themes we've discussed on the show to this point.
Yeah, I think we can go through a couple of them. Like Lucia being the central character, I would say that is inferred from the trailer. Like that's not too much of a leap. Separate intro missions, I mean, you've got that in GTA 5, so it's not a surprise that might happen in GTA 6. There's a more grounded story. I think educated guesswork would get you to that. Massive side content, tick. We know Rockstar have said it's be the biggest GTA yet, which also helps out with the lots of countryside roads and towns and that kind of thing. There was a comment about fidelity versus performance modes. We've seen the announcement of PS5 Pro. GTA 6 is going to be on PS5 Pro. Of course, it's probably going to have fidelity and performance modes. And then there's features gameplay elements from Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, yeah, of course it does. I think all of Rockstar's previous games have featured some elements from their previous games in the next iteration. So, like you say, I don't think there's too much here that is a massive leap or anything that jump out and be like, oh, that's significant. There was some talk about the Fast and the Furious inspired missions, which we have talked about on a previous show. And I think, in truth, this is probably wishful thinking and based on, GTA 5 had big bombastic heists. Maybe 6 will have the same. Here's a nice bridge that matches up with a bridge that they had in the Fast and Furious movies at one stage. As you say, educated guesses, but nothing concrete here to say that this is any more plausible than anything else that's around on the internet. I guess all in all, what this is saying, Dan, is there's nothing really confirmed here, and none of this is really any particular insider info, right?
No, I was just looking for the provenance of the leak, inverted commas. It seemed to come from someone called Legacy Killer HD. Not the name I would use were I looking to become a respected leaker, but hey, that doesn't, this is someone who's got like a 10-year legacy of reporting on games news and videos. So I don't want to discredit him per se. But yeah, apparently something he had leaked, and this was not the thing that actually was copyright striked, but the information he had was picked up by a YouTuber called Cyberboy, who made a video going over the leaks. And it was Cyberboy's video that was hit by a copyright strike by Take-Two Interactive. Now, Cyberboy talked on Reddit about the strike, saying he went into detail talking about how Take-Two outsourced their content ID system to a third party. They don't bother claiming leaked footage anymore, but over the past 24 hours, they've been claiming tweets talking about leaks, and he said more specifically images, even if they are AI generated. They've also been claiming gameplay. Now, that could be related to the leaked gameplay or upscaled versions of the gameplay that we know to be true. And this guy is saying, I've had conversations today with other YouTubers that had it happen to them. It looks like they're clamping down on leaked information. So, whether they're clamping down on it because there's like a kind of copyright strike bot that's seeing certain things and just wiping them out, whether they just want to stop the madness and clamp down on anything that's purporting to be leaks, etc., or because this is an accurate bullseye of truth, which is possible, but it's deeply plausible and sort of predictable.
Yeah. So, I mean, all in all, having said all of that, what I've got lined up for this week's show is why don't we do our own little predictions? And because it's quite a nice headline, 6 GTA 6 predictions, I think, are going to come your way. I'd like to get your thoughts on these, Dan, and feel free to chime in on them. We should say that this is all speculation, semi-educated guesswork. So don't go out there turning these into facts or YouTube videos, even though some of them are probably quite likely.
And you might get a strike. So
exactly,
don't
from
do
us.
That. Yeah.
And or Take-Two or Rockstar. The first thing I wanted to cover in our 6 GTA 6 predictions is the release date. Now, I'm going to put myself out there, Dan, and say, here's what I'm predicting for GTA 6. I'm going to say, hopefully, that it was going to be with us in October 2025. Why do I say that, I hear you ask? Well, we know currently that the game is coming in fall 2025. As we've discussed previously, the meteorological fall in the US runs from September 1st to November 30th. Astronomical fall is September 22nd to December 21st. Very much within that October window. Even in the UK, the fall season, which we call autumn over here, is September 1st to November 30th. So if we are targeting fall 2025, that's the window we're looking at. Plus, Rockstar has quite the history of releasing their big titles in October. And actually, some of the fans in the community call October Rocktober, which is a great little play on words there. But just to back this up, Grand Theft Auto Online came to us October 1st, Max Payne 2, October 14th, Bully, October 17th, Midnight Club, October 26th, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, October 26th, Red Dead Redemption 2, October 26th, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, October 29th, Manhunt, October 30th, even DLCs like Vice City Stories, October 31st, The Battle of Gay Tony, October 29th. So they have quite a long-running precedent here of releasing things in and around October for some of the bigger titles. I would say there's definitely a pattern here if you want there to be one. So why not add GTA 6 to this lineup? Thoughts?
I think, and I agree, the thing to be clear about is Take-Two have reiterated the fall release window. And as you've narrowed down, depending on your definition, it doesn't make a tremendous difference. Within those parameters of a few months, I would say, October feels like the winner because that is traditionally when they have dropped games. It's traditionally when everyone else drops games. We know this from, we also run the Golden Joystick Awards, and we run the Ultimate Game of the Year award a little bit later than the other nominations for exactly this reason. Loads of the big games of the year come out in October. And generally, after November onwards, things slow down a little bit. I'd say that sort of unofficial rule has eroded a little and people are doing more as you go through later in the year. And like we say with GTA, we always say with GTA 6, almost all bets are off. They could probably release it on Christmas Day and it wouldn't make a big difference. That's probably a lie. But, they
couldn't get to the shop stand.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the ideal day. But they could almost do anything they want. But history suggests, I agree, late October. Now, if you want to, and we did this with trailer 1 with some great accuracy, if you really want to pin a day on it, what would you, if you're pinning a day on it, James, not to put you on the spot, what would you say?
Well, you have put me on the spot. And
I am.
Scroll my calendar all the way through to October to see when the sensible dates are in 2025.
Well, while you do that, what I will say is, and this surprised me, I was looking back at the days that a few previous Rockstar releases had come out, and Red Dead Redemption 2, which is probably their latest big high-profile release, which was 2018, which blows my mind. So that was on 28th of October 2018. My gut is always that games launch on Tuesdays or Thursdays, but Red Dead Redemption 2 launched on a Friday. A Friday. What madness is this? But yeah, there we go. So they went for a Friday there. So that wouldn't rule out, I think, a Friday being the date. But yeah, my inclination is towards a last week but 1 of October.
Which would put it October the 20th to the 24th.
Yes.
Of 2025. Which, feels, it's bang in the middle of all those other dates of when previous games have been released. It's, like you say, the second last week of October. All of that lines up.
So if I was to, if just for fun, pull a couple of dates out of the air, I would say October the 21st, 2025, because Tuesday's a big day for releases. I would say the Thursday the 23rd, though I'm starting to wobble now on 24th because of the Red Dead news, or the 28th, which then just falls right at the end of October, which is another Tuesday the week after. After that, you're heading into November. I think, all winds being well, they're going to aim for a late October release. Yeah.
Well, book those holidays now, guys. Just take a couple of week window and hedge your bets, see what happens.
Yeah, if you take off the 20th to the 31st of October, your employer may not like it. I think you're fairly safely covered, but, hey, let's see.
Until there's any announcement of a delay or anything, and then you might have to shift those dates around a little bit. But for now, those seem like a good bet. Just wanted to pick up on one thing quickly before we move on to number 2. You mentioned the Golden Joystick Awards. All of those nominations are now out. And because of the fall 2025 release date, GTA 6 is nominated for the Most Wanted Game category. So, listeners, if you would like GTA 6 to win the Most Wanted Game, head over to the link, which is in the description below, or just search Golden Joystick Awards. There's lots of other categories in there. Pick your favourite games from the year. When it comes to Most Wanted, maybe you'd like to vote for GTA 6.
And you can also vote for GTA Online in the still playing category, PC and mobile. Now, obviously, GTA 6, little known game, flying under the radar, needs your support.
Does need all the support, please. And we'll see. Will it win Most Wanted Game? I'm going to predict maybe it will. But let's see. The awards are November 21st, so we will bring you a report of its positioning alongside everything else once that has come to pass. Right, Dan, let's move on to prediction number 2, which is going to be social media is going to play a big role in the story and or the game world. Now, we have mentioned this many times on the show before, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. And this one in particular, I think, is quite contentious. Some people, especially when we've mentioned it in previous episodes, don't really like the idea of it playing like a big part or having some kind of social media following or some kind of upkeep away from the story. But I just feel like with the modern setting and the focus of it so much in that trailer one, that it's going to have to play a more significant role than it ever has done in the GTA game. I'm not saying that is a manage your own in-game social media account. I just think that it is going to be more significant than we saw in GTA 5 or anything like that.
I 100% agree. And I think otherwise, why would they make it such a large part of the trailer?
Yeah, and I mean, the trailer is 1 minute 30 long. There are social and TV clips in that trailer that take up, I'd say, at least 20 seconds, which is about 22, 23% of your trailer. That's almost a quarter of the trailer is dedicated to what we are assuming to be social media clips. And I don't think you're going to put that much focus on it if it's not going to be a significant part of the game.
I completely agree. I've probably wasted at least 22 to 23% of my life on social media. So it's a fairly accurate measure. Like you'd noted as well, there's precedent for ways social media could be used. Red Dead Redemption 2 uses a kind of dynamic reputation crimes. Obviously, you're not checking your phone or your papyrus in Red Dead for what your latest status. It's different. But it does have an impact on your status within the world from NPC reactions and like affecting the way police and gangs interact with you, which is interesting. My thought with social media in GTA 6, and I think Rockstar aren't silly, they will be reading reactions to it and seeing people go, oh my God, I don't want to spend all my time virtually managing a social media account when I can barely keep on top of it in real life. So I think it will be a significant element of the game that you don't actually have to lean that hard into to get to the end and see the story conclusion. But if you do, it might contain benefits, but not ones that are critical to your progress in the game. Like, I would be surprised if they were like, to complete this next mission, you need 50,000 followers.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a sort of fake scripted thing where it's like a set piece and you have to do something and film it and it's a one and done. But like to truly have to go through the game having to capture everything you do, or that feels to me like that's up to you. You're not going to have to do that for the story. I mean, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like, I guess, the stock exchange trading element of GTA 5 that was in there, which you could play for ages and you could make significant cash bonuses from doing it. But it was just a system that existed within the world that if you didn't want to do anything with it, you didn't have to touch it at all. I think there's one bit in that game where it's, it says, hey, look at this. You should go over here if you want to and do a thing, but it definitely doesn't force you down that road. I can see it being a similar version of that. They will introduce the concepts to you and then say, if you would like to carry on with this,
yes,
do it in your own time. Otherwise, it's just going to
exactly. And I think there'll be interesting incentives for it, but I just cannot see it as
like
being core
hats
to the game. Hats or t-shirts that they then give away for free, like they do with GTA Online.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I do think they're going to be talking a lot about this as they start to reveal gameplay, and I think it is going to be ambitious and a talking point, though not as core to the experience. And this is the beauty of GTA. It's a sandbox where you can kind of choose your own adventure and you can pick to do certain things. I don't think this will be pivotal to the story, he says famously.
Number 3 then, I have written down, exploring the waters and seas around the cities will be expanded from GTA 5. Now this is pretty much a given, I would say, but worth talking about. Things that we have mentioned on the show before. If you're new here, there are lots of episodes that covers the mysteries that we might see in and around the seas. But things like the Bermuda Triangle could appear. We've mentioned that quite a lot. Dan went off on a thing and mentioned Atlantis and then time travel. So go back and listen to that episode. And
yeah, that's all definitely going to happen.
Enjoy those theories. There are lots of maybe more plausible mysteries in and around the Everglades that I think would be a good touch point to go and uncover, and there's so many mysteries in GTA and Red Dead games that are just sitting there waiting to be discovered. I think the Everglades is going to provide a load of content on that side of things. I think we're going to get some scuba diving, which is going to expand on the submarine missions from GTA 5. Of course, GTA 5 had some kind of scuba missions in it, but I think they're going to expand on it with 6. Miami is ripe for scuba schools. Like, there are tens of them, nearly hundreds of them lined up all along the beach. So I think they would be, I don't think they're going to miss that opportunity. And there are other like real world points of interest that I think could appear in and around the bay and the seas around the islands. Things like, have you heard of the Osborne Reef, Dan?
Nope.
Well, let me tell you about the Osborne Reef, which may or may not make an appearance in the game. It's an artificial reef off the coast of Fort Lauderdale in Florida. It was originally constructed of concrete jacks and was the subject of an ambitious expansion project utilizing old and discarded tires. The expansion ultimately failed, and the reef has come to be considered an environmental disaster, ultimately doing more harm than good in the coastal Florida waters. In 2007, after several false starts, cleanup efforts began when the United States military took on the project. This cleanup exercise provided the military with a real-world training environment for their diving and recovery personnel, coupled with the benefit of helping the Florida coast without incurring significant costs to the state. In 2015, a civilian corporation took over and had removed 1/3 of the tires by November 2019. All of this is to say there's a whole load of tires just off the coast of Florida, which are still there, or were definitely still there when we think the research and development for GTA 6 was going on. I think there's loads that they could do with that, even if it was just swim down, discover all the tires, and then be like, what's this mystery? And maybe you find something within there or whatever. But as I say, lots of little real world mysteries like that are ripe for discovery.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think you'll be tasked with individually collecting and picturing
Clean up all the tires.
700 rubber tires. That would be a deeply and then having to log it on your social media account. It would be a deeply distressing. Here I am with tire number 1, folks.
That's the version of the pigeons for GTA 6.
One
Collect
like
100 tires.
One like. That would be really depressing. I look, this is me, my horrendous personal opinion is I despise missions in water or underwater.
Okay.
I've hated them since Lara Croft made me do them all those years ago. I can't think of a single time I have gone, oh yippee, a mission underwater, or I get to pilot a really slow chugging submarine, or I just can't think of a single time I think it's been good. I was replaying Uncharted 4 recently, and there's a mission there, a really easy mission underwater where it may as well be overground. It's just you swim about. That's tolerable.
Right.
Because it's A to B, really. You pick up some treasure and you're straight away out of the water. That's okay. But anything involving freeform, I'm angry even talking about it. There's missions that make you do it in Horizon Forbidden West. I hate them. So I'm sorry, this is a massive aside, isn't it?
So any kind of exploration underwater is out.
It's just out for me. Now, I might be a lone voice here, much in the same way that I don't want to put petrol in my car in GTA, right? So people in the comments might say, well, no, I'm with you, Dan. I despise underwater missions. Oh, I love them. So do let us know. But what I do agree with is, are they going to add it? Yes. And I think they are going to make me do it, whether I like it or not. It's the perfect location around, like, Leonida, Miami. That makes perfect sense. I would love it to be something more interesting, like the Bermuda Triangle. That would be much, much better. I just
Still
don't
in
want...
water, though. You understand?
Well,
the
I know,
Bermuda
but
Triangle
at
is in
least there's a
water.
city, and they're going to have something spooky, or you can really go there.
Yeah.
But if it's at the other extreme, find 20 decomposed rubber tires, or some rusty old car.
Shipwreck or something.
Yeah, like, no thanks. Like, don't make me do that. That's deeply boring. So, but I agree. I think that it is going to be a big part of the game, whether I like it or not. And the answer's not in my case.
Well, let's hope that they're just side missions then, and there's nothing storyline focused that makes you go in the sea.
2/3 of the game is underwater, and your character's got gills. No thanks.
Okay, on a similar tangent, our fourth prediction is that the city will evolve over time. Again, like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, this is not a major leap. This is something that's been going on in Rockstar games for the last few iterations. But I think the events from the story will affect the city and the surrounding areas, much like there was that mission in GTA 5 where you could pull down the house called marriage counseling. There was the Mile High building. Do you remember talking on GTA 5 o'clock about the Mile High building that was covered in scaffolding? And we were like, throughout the story, this building is going to get completed and it's going to turn into something amazing.
Still waiting.
Nope. That did not happen.
Yeah.
But there are events in Red Dead 2 where houses get constructed throughout the story. Spoilers, Dan, you're probably not that far through the game where people are building houses.
Every week you ruin a bit more of this game for me.
But that does happen. I can see similar things happening in GTA 6. People building houses, construction sites, hopefully getting more and more complete as we go through the story. I think there's also a chance that this could be weather related. Obviously, they've got quite a lot of weather tech going in, especially in Red Dead. There's thunderstorms and downpours all the time. We could have a lot more natural disasters in GTA 6, like hurricanes or typhoons. Thunderstorms could potentially bring in flooding, or at least, leave quite a lot of residual water in certain areas, which make them go underwater for a bit, and then you have to wait over time and they then dissipate. Or, lightning could strike a tree and then the tree falls down in a wood and like that kind of, I think all of that kind of stuff, the sort of organic development of the world, I would love to see happen in 6. And I think they have started that process in things like Red Dead, and I can only see it getting more and more involved.
Yeah, this is interesting actually for very topical reasons. I think that this for all video games feels like the Holy Grail, the idea of a persistent universe where you have a direct impact on the world, its inhabitants, their memory of you. You leave a genuine mark on the world, be it in people's minds and all the physical locations. I think that's really exciting in terms of video games. That does start to create, I guess, ethical barriers or issues of taste. For example, right now as we speak, and this is me sort of lowering the tone and being a bit serious, Hurricane Milton is due to roll into Miami in Florida in the next sort of 24 hours. It might even be that as you listen to this, it's happening. It doesn't look good. And the devastation it could cause is really serious and quite worrying. And then I think there almost becomes an ethical line for GTA about, do you want to show that within the game? Because it will have profoundly affected lots of people's real lives and livelihoods. So at one hand, it's a very realistic thing that is potentially quite an exciting gameplay element, but it's also bang on the nose of, and I'm saying this now as this feels really topical. Yeah. Maybe in a year it feels different. And this is not unprecedented within video games. I remember right back when I first started in video games, and they'd shown the first trailers for Metal Gear Solid 2, and it featured the Twin Towers, and that was going to be in the game. And Hideo Kojima had to hold like an all-hands emergency meeting saying, what are we going to do? Do we go on? Do we feature these? This is often a challenge for video games when real-life events take a different turn. So that's not to say this won't happen. I just think there's an extra context to it now because it's maybe a bit on the nose. And just for a moment, thoughts with everyone who's been forced to evacuate because of that, and I hope everyone is safe and well.
Yes, for sure. I even remember that conversation happening around, when Medal of Honor was coming out, and it was, it's World War II focused, and everyone was like, is this really a video game? Like, is this something you want to be playing? And then the flip side of the argument was that, well, it's showing people what it was like, and, hopefully educating people about the impact of that kind of thing and all of that. So it's definitely two sides to it, but yeah, I think it's a fine line to tread, and let's see if they manage to leave it in or what they do with it. Prediction 5 out of 6, Dan, is around special editions and the launch day. Now, this has actually come via Scott, who sent us an email who says, do you think there will be a midnight release for the physical copy of the game in the UK? Not sure if this is still a thing or not. Would be good to hear you discuss it on the next episode. Also, predicted pricing and different versions, standard game versus special editions, that kind of thing. Now, we have touched on this before in a previous episode. Like many of the things we are talking about today. But I would say yes, given the popularity of GTA 5 special editions and the Red Dead 2 special editions, I would say it's almost a certainty that we'll get one for GTA 6. What's going to be in it? We've talked about this before. I've always said something fun like an inflatable crocodile or some sort of pool accessory, which feels quite Miami-based. Maybe there's going to be some high-end kind of, sunglasses collaboration that you get some special edition sunglasses in your box. It could be anything, a vinyl that's become back around to be popular again. We know there's going to be DJs in the game spinning on some decks. A vinyl copy of the soundtrack or some of the radio stations, certainly plausible. I just think it's almost definitely going to happen. Incidentally, the Red Dead 2 box, the special edition, I looked it up on eBay right now, is selling between £300 and £400.
The special edition.
And some of those don't even come with the game.
Blimey. Well, if you just excuse me, I need to leave the recording of this episode to check my loft and see.
I have one too. I know where mine is.
I don't think I've got one. And as we speak, I'm going back and looking through, reminding myself of all of the different incentives they offered for launch packs. The one thing that's making me smile is I've forgotten this. It was the pre-order incentive where it says you can get access to fly the atomic blimp.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever flew the atomic blimp.
Oh,
so
well, you're missing out.
Maybe I didn't. I guess I didn't pre-order. I don't know how much fun that was flying the atomic blimp. If anyone pre-ordered and did do that, please add your thrilling experience to the comments. Now, like you were saying, the special edition for GTA 5, the most special thing it offered was this hugely intricate blueprint map.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's where the bulk of the £300-400 valuation is coming from, because that's the sort of thing you could see people throwing away or getting fed up with and not realizing it's valuable, and that's a really cool gift. So
that map also, as people will probably remember, was like blacklight.
Yes.
Was like blacklight infused. So you got a little blacklight torch in the special edition, and you could shine it over the map, and it would show you where some of the secrets were, which was very cool.
That's very cool. And you can only imagine something similar for, they might give you the first 50 of 250 tyre locations, for example.
That's what the special edition is going to come with, just one big tyre. It's in a big circular tyre that you have to drag around from the shop.
And then to upgrade from that again, the collector's edition of GTA 5 contained the blueprint map, a quite lovely Los Santos hat, and a GTA 5 t-shirt. Now, Rockstar's merch is usually of a really high standard, so I dare say and I don't know what they're going to release. It'll be something fun. Like I've got the GTA San Andreas dominoes in the house. They're quite good.
Yeah.
I still use them. I've got and I use this on the weekend. I've got a Red Dead Redemption 2 super heavyweight bottle opener that I find, I like opening bottles of beverages, and it's deeply useful. And this is the kind of stuff that Rockstar specialise in. So, like, quite what they're going to offer. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you've had any thoughts about what it will be, or is this just a bit too moon pie right now?
Yeah, we're definitely just, plucking things out of the air. But like the Red Dead one, like you say, it had some playing cards in it, which were really nice. It had a bandana, a collectible challenge coin, which was the same as the coin that you got in the game. It had some cigarette cards and a puzzle, and a book that when you went to one of the shops, you could peruse the catalogue of the in-game shop, and you also got that catalogue in real life. So I think it will be tied into the game, and some of the more standout things in the game. Quite what that will be, I don't know, but from a Miami point of view, I think it feels quite sunshine, summery, something kind of a bit fun. Maybe not an inflatable crocodile. Maybe a very high-end wooden crocodile. How about that?
A wooden crocodile? I've never seen such a thing in all my years. So, and then looking back to GTA 5, now this is over the fullness of time. There were actually 6 different editions if you include Rockstar Social Club members and different standard editions. Yeah. So there was the original standard edition, special edition, collector's edition that we've talked about. Then there was the original Social Club members edition, an enhanced standard edition, then an enhanced returning Social Club members edition. Oh. Now, the different things they gave you varied from Does it include a game disc? Yes. Printed map? Yes. Access to Atomic Blimp?
Yes.
Pre-orders only. Then Steelbook, Blueprint map, special ability boost. I can't even remember what that was, whether that was to do with like the ability to slow down time as Franklin and stuff like that. I honestly cannot remember. There were stunt plane trials with some of the more upgraded editions, bonus outfits and tattoos, additional weapons, which included like the hammer, the pistol .50, the bullpup shotgun, which feels like quite cool stuff. I'd forgotten this as well. The GTA 5 Collector's Edition included a security deposit bag to put all your fake swag and money. That was quite a cool thing. I remember taking that to football training once and feeling like I was cool somehow. GTA 5 key, a cap, and then going on to the other editions, they had custom online character ancestry, unique vehicles, exclusive vehicles, and then it's just, you name it. They were even saying things like, the HUD radar update is exclusive to this edition. An advanced video editor, the HD Snapmatic. There was so even then, there were like endless customizations, 6 different ways they were trying to make money from you, and that's without making money from you from GTA Online. I think they're going to take this to the max with 6. And to look even further across, will, for example, PlayStation or Xbox try to align with them to say, here is the GTA 6 PlayStation 5
custom
Pro.
PS5 Pro.
Yeah. And, maybe. And if you look at the very beautiful and very expensive PlayStation 5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition, which nods to the original PS1, they're beautifully made. Like a GTA one could be really nice and will be really expensive.
Yes. Just one more point on this. The midnight launch that was mentioned by Scott, it has certainly gone away in recent times, but I feel like given the cultural significance of this launch and the amount of mainstream coverage that Rockstar and Take-Two will probably want to get out of this, I'd say a midnight launch might happen. I know like there's not a lot of game shops around.
Not many. There might be even less in 1 year. Yeah, I wonder, like, GameStop notionally exists, Game in the UK notionally exists. Physical's such a small piece of the pie, but there will become a moment, there's a moment when GTA is not available and then it's turned on online and it is available. So if you could align that to, and it might even be they do a few showpiece events at a flagship London store in New York, whatever, and then give away some physical copies or some collector's editions. The reason being it's just a photo opportunity.
Yeah, it's hard to get that news report of the online version of the game is now live. Whereas if you send a camera crew and there's hundreds of people outside a shop, you can get, much more coverage out of that.
It's way more exciting than individual shots of millions of people in their pants in their bedrooms. You just want people, out having a communal moment. And I think that's a cool thing. And I would positively encourage Rockstar to do that, to create a communal moment out of anticipation for GTA 6, whether it's like queuing experiences or it's special things for people who queue. It's something that Apple, and it's a physical product, but Apple have always done really well. We always get those interviews with, here's a man from Japan who's queued for 36 hours for the iPhone 19. That sort of thing. So I think for Rockstar, that's quite a fun thing to do, and especially if they actually reward the super fan.
Yeah, the challenge with that is always, I have to go to a shop and I have to buy the game at midnight, and then I have to waste all that time getting home before I can then install the game. I'm losing hours of my game time. So there's a balance there of, if you're going to do it, Rockstar, please do it somewhere close to my house. So,
do you think they would dare to risk some kind of pre-install? Does anyone do that anymore? That was a thing for a while.
They might, but then then why would you go to the shop?
No, and not many people are going to go to the shop anyway. It's more of do they want people to be able to like go at 0001?
Yeah.
Or is there even an inherent risk in allowing like sort of, incomplete blocked off code exist in the universe? And I guess it's safer because it's on console than if it's on PC, but it still feels risky, weirdly.
Yeah, it's the same way as, when things launch in Australia or New Zealand first and you can change the clock to make it think that you're in New Zealand and get it a few hours early, like all of that kind of stuff will happen. So I don't know, maybe they will just go for, I think it's probably more likely they'll go worldwide launch is at this time.
Yeah.
you just buy it and download it.
Oh, 100%.
And then
It'll
all
be
of the Sony
simultaneous.
servers will crash and you won't be able to download it properly and you won't be able to download it properly and it'll be really slow and everyone will be really annoyed and all of that will
Well, you
happen.
should have queued up outside GameStop New York if it still exists in 1 year's time.
And finally, just a quick one, prediction number 6 down before we wrap up this week is I think that you're going to play a good chunk of the story with one character before you meet the other one. And there's not really any backing for this. This is just me, throwing some things out there. But I think it would be a good twist on the kind of thing that we've seen before. GTA 5 obviously had a very explosive opening where you met the characters pretty quickly. Red Dead 2 had quite a slow opening where you still met most of the characters, but it took you a long time.
Oh my word,
get
it
into
took you a
that
long
world.
time. Yeah.
I think GTA 6 could find a middle ground with this where, as we've discussed, that whole opening hour or two is you learning the mechanics of the game. It's finding out a little bit more about the character. But I think having it centralized on one character to begin with, you find their motivations, you meet some of their friends, and then eventually the second protagonist comes in. Now, which way round they do that, I'm not sure we want to put a stake in the ground on it, but I think that's quite it's like a film-esque, movie type way of doing things, introducing you to the central character and then going, and here's the person who's going to motivate them, or here's someone that they need to get out of this sticky situation. It'd be an interesting way of them to do it, and it would definitely, tie into I thought there was going to be 2 main characters in this, and I've just played as one for the first 3 hours, and then you start slowly to get introduced to the other one. You meet them more and more. You eventually start playing as them, that kind of thing.
I've no idea is my answer, but what is interesting is which road they decide to go down, because I remember very acutely talking to Rockstar after GTA 4 and them lamenting basically how few people engaged with the story or played it at all. And I've said this on the podcast before, and I probably said it at different percentages, but way less than 10% of people who started GTA 4 saw the full story.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a moment of realization within Rockstar that they had to make things more immediate and give people different entry points. Hence the multiple characters in GTA 5. Hence the ability effectively to map skip by selecting different characters. So you could, they were like checkpoints or hot fly zones without actually doing it. You just appeared in another body and had leapt through a massive amount of the map.
Yeah.
And then you think, is that Rockstar learning their lesson, in inverted commas, where they launched GTA 5 with an exciting heist, is bang, bang, straight in. People's attention is been, we're always reading in the news about how people have got the attention span of a worm. It's just, so on one hand, GTA 6 needs to start exciting, right? Now, all of that said, what the hell happened in Red Dead Redemption 2? Because that is the biggest FU to the audience. It's so slow burn. It's the sort of Joker folie deux of game intros, where it's 2 hours of excruciating, painstaking. So I do wonder, is there a world where Rockstar could be contrary enough to do something very unexpected and or a talking point? Part of me thinks no, because the world is just to say we're all low memory worms. So
Got to go straight in with something bombastic, otherwise.
Yeah. But then you could go from there into it's exciting, but then the actual storytelling can flip. And I don't know on the character thing. Last of Us 2 famously did the one story, 2 perspectives. I feel like that set out the tree ties for that. It'd have to be a different way of doing it. But we've talked on the show about it would be really interesting to show. Well, I think we sort of lent into this idea that the police camera sections in GTA 6 that we've seen from the trailer, wouldn't it be cool if they were almost like replays of things you'd already played? So it's like a heist from a different perspective or whatever you call it. That might be an interesting way to create different viewpoints that isn't quite as slavish as the way The Last of Us 2 did. This for me is one of the most exciting bits of GTA 6. It's just quite how they do the storytelling and quite how they do it in a universe where Dan Houser, who was a big powerhouse of GTA, is no longer there. Will it affect the flow of the storytelling and what they're trying to do?
Well, we will find out in, as we have predicted, 12 months' time, hopefully, when we see GTA 6 release October 2025. If that happens, you heard it here first. So that wraps up our 6 GTA 6 predictions for this week. Thank you all for listening. If you've got any more predictions, please put them in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. Get in touch with us on Twitter at GTAVOclock or drop us an email, gtavIOclock@gmail.com, and we will read some of them out in a future episode. Once again, Dan, thank you for joining us. All of you out there, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week for another episode of GTA 6 O'Clock.